This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Stuff You Should Know is brought to you by Grainger. Grainger knows that if you're an HVAC technician and a call comes in, you need a partner that helps you find the right product, fast and hassle-free. And you know that when the first problem of the day is a clanking blower motor, there's no need to break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product details, you can be confident that soon you'll have everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey there, and welcome to The Short Stuff. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck, and there's Jerry. Enough talking. Let's get started.
Let's travel, my friend, to not only Louisiana, but Louisiana in 1980.
Can you imagine?
Which I believe the drinking age back then was still probably 18.
I think so, too. It wasn't. They held out the longest, didn't they?
I think they did.
And the feds were like, well, kiss decent roads goodbye until you bend to our will. States' rights.
Oh, goodness.
Who knew that was going to come up?
No, me.
So in Louisiana, in Iberia Parish, around the town of New Iberia, there is a lake, Chuck, and it's still there today, which is not that surprising.
It's a bit different now, though.
It will become surprising that it's still there shortly. It's called Lake Peigneur. Peigneur. Lake Peigneur. Okay?
Yes.
And in November of 1980, which is where we are right now, there was some Texaco contractors who were doing some exploratory drilling in Lake Peigneur. And Lake Peigneur was really, really big. How many acres was it? 1,300 acres?
I mean, at least like 5 or 6 acres.
Right.
Yeah, 1,300 acres of land, but only 11 feet deep.
Yeah, that was I think one of the deepest points. I think the average was just a handful of feet. So really, really wide, but really, really shallow.
That's right. Like us.
And the other, right. The other point about that is that Lake Peigneur sat on top of what's called a salt dome. It's an accumulation of salt that builds up underneath the ground. And there was a company called the Diamond Crystal Salt Company, and they like to mine for salt around Lake Peigneur. And all this was going on at the same time, on the same day in November that the Texaco exploratory crew was drilling down through Lake Peigneur looking for gas deposits.
That's right. And I think you see where this might be headed, but the details of this story are so bonkers.
It's so nuts. It's
just crazy. So Texaco's is drilling, and they're probing the floor, and their drill all of a sudden just seizes up and stops about 1,200 or so feet below the surface. So if you remember, this lake is only 11 feet deep. So they are far, 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 far below this lake.
And they said, that's interesting. This doesn't usually happen.
Yeah, so what happens when your drill gets stuck in something, you try and work it loose a little bit, which if it's shallow, it's no big deal. When it's that deep, it's a little bit different because you can't see what's going on. And all of a sudden, these workers heard, pop, boing, boing, and this big rig all of a sudden starts tilting toward the water. And they're like, this is not good, guys.
No, rigs are not supposed to tilt.
No. And this thing, it's a $5 million drill, and it starts to sink, and it starts to buck, and it starts to move. And all these dudes are like, all right, this is not good at all. So we're going to release ourselves, release these barges that are attached. We're going to get out of here, and we're going to get on shore, which they did.
Right. So they got out of there. They made it safely. But as they're on shore, trying to figure out what is going on, this is really weird, their leaning rig starts to kind of tip further and further into the water. And surely at some point, if it's just a few feet of water, it should stop and stay above the water. But these guys were really surprised when they saw that the rig kept going underwater, and then it just disappeared from sight.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
No, I can't. But as they're sitting there scratching their heads over this one, they noticed that there was a whirlpool that was starting to form. Just a little bit at first, around the point where the the drill rig had just disappeared. And then it started to come into view, I guess, in their mind's eye, what had just happened. And they realized pretty quickly that they had accidentally drilled all the way down into one of the main shafts of these salt mines 1,300 feet below Lake Peigneur. And now there is a hole connecting the air above the lake and the hole underneath the lake with a lot of water in between just waiting to get in.
Yeah, so this whirlpool is growing and growing. It eventually grows in front of their eyeballs to 1/4 mile in diameter.
That is so enormous.
It's so enormous. In the meantime, down in the salt mine, there's an electrician named Junius Gaddison. He heard bang, pop, boing, and he was like, that doesn't sound good. And all of a sudden, muddy water starts rushing in, and it's bringing fuel drums along the mine shaft. And he was like, this is not good.
Right.
He calls in an alarm, which is 3 blinks of the light. He heads out. All the workers are like, all right, we know what 3 blinks of a light means. That means we need to drop everything and get out of here. And these 50 or so dudes are 15 feet underground. I'm sorry, 1,500 feet underground. 15 feet would be no big deal.
They'd be like, we're fine.
And they start getting up to higher levels and higher levels where they can get to these elevators to get them out. They get to the 3rd level, and it's blocked by these rising waters. On the surface, it's like something out of the Bible or an X-Files episode or something. What was originally a 14-inch hole in the ground in this mine starts to fill up with water, and all of a sudden water hits salt, and that starts dissolving and dissolving.
Right.
All these columns of salt supporting these caves and tunnels start dissolving, and this whole mine starts collapsing in front of everyone's face.
And Chuck, all that water that's flowing through, dissolving away the salt, that was like 3.5 billion gallons of water. So it's a substantial amount of water starting to fill up that salt mine underneath. And as the water is sinking down from the lake, it's starting to flood upward toward the bottom of the lake, which doesn't happen very often in Louisiana or anywhere else, really.
All right, I think we should take a break. And we'll come back and finish this amazing story right after this. Hey everybody, I want to talk to you a little bit about Tide Evo because it represents over 10 years of innovation and product development. Tide Evo is a first-of-its-kind technology where tens of thousands of minuscule fibers are spun together to form a 6 times powerful layer packed with scrubbers, brighteners, pre-treaters, and fresheners. And that's going to deliver a breakthrough clean that's so powerful, it feels like magic.
Yeah, it is kind of like magic. Tide Evo is revolutionary. A 100% concentrated, waterless laundry tile that's made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. And it's not like pods or sheets because it uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging of any kind. And it provides a mess-free, lightweight solution that dissolves lickety-split. So whenever you run into a laundry challenge, turn to Tide Evo. It's revolutionary. It's magic. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic.
Everyone knows winter is the real mess maker. You don't need WeatherTech floor liners for summer unless you hit the beach and half the beach ends up back in your car, or the campsite dirt ends up in your trunk. Then you'd want a cargo liner, or a road trip goes sideways, lemonade spills, ketchup goes rogue, ice cream drips. Yeah, you'd be pretty happy about those WeatherTech seat protectors. So just to be clear, as the mud you're inevitably going to step in this summer, you don't need WeatherTech unless you plan on doing summer. Visit WeatherTech.com today.
This is an amazing story. I love this story. It's one of my all-time favorites.
All right, so below the surface, there are these miners trying to get out. They finally get up to level 3 where they can access these elevators, but there's a ton of high water blocking their route. They're using mine carts and vehicles powered by diesel to try and push their way through. And eventually, all those 50 miners, 8 dudes at a time, are able to get into these elevators that carry them to the surface. And it's not like a speedy elevator. Imagine the waiting as this water is rising for that elevator to come back was some seriously scary stuff.
Yeah. I mean, 8 at a time, there's 50 of them down there, and the elevator's slow as Christmas. I can't imagine how stressful that must have been. And like, how did you decide who went, you know? I mean, that's scary stuff. So as the miners are like starting to like slowly come up like 8 by 8, above ground, back up on the surface of the lake, there's like this huge hole has opened up where the whirlpool was. And the suction from the whirlpool has sucked the Gulf of Mexico in now. So like there was 3.5 billion gallons of Lake Peigneur to begin with, but that whirlpool that created sucked the water from Del Cambri Canal that connects the Gulf of Mexico and Lake Peigneur, sucked the Gulf of Mexico into the lake, and 11 barges that happened to be in this miles-long canal got sucked into Lake Peigneur, and not just sucked into Lake Peigneur, sucked down the whirlpool into the salt mines underground.
Yeah, so 11 barges, gulp. Jefferson Island, 70 acres big, gulp. Mm-hmm. Another drilling platform, gulp. This little tugboat's out there. God bless this little tugboat, just doing everything it can to get out of there and fight that current.
Right.
Full power to get basically sucked down what looks like a toilet probably. These dudes are like, I don't think we're going to make it. So they managed to get this thing over close enough to the bank to jump off, and then bye-bye tugboat, gulp.
Yeah, imagine that, like just seeing the tugboat. Like a tugboat is pretty strong, man. And the idea of it not being able to fight this current, that just tells you how strong that whirlpool was. So there goes the tugboat. There goes 11 barges, oil derrick, a lot of Jefferson Island. And finally, after... there was one other thing. So this made the whole thing even more biblical, Chuck. There was a lot of air down there in these underground mine shafts. And as the water filled up the mine shafts and displaced the air, that air came shooting, pressurized up to the surface. And so every once in a while, like a geyser would shoot off like 400 feet into the air right out of Lake Peigneur.
All right, is that your fact of the show?
That's one of them. I think this whole thing is one big fact of the show.
Because here's mine.
Okay.
So what happens when you suck stuff down there and then eventually that thing's going to fill up? It's not just going to fill up the entire center of the earth with water. Mm-hmm. Eventually the salt mine's going to fill up and it's going to sort of regulate and equalize. That eventually happens. 3.5 billion gallons of water drain in 3 hours. And then over the next couple of days, that lake level eventually reaches that original water line. And then over and over, 9 of these barges come popping back up like a cork that you've been holding underwater. Just boom, boom, boom. All these things just keep popping back up.
It must have been amazing to see that. See a barge just come popping up out of the water.
No tugboat, though.
No tugboat, and I think 2 of the barges are still trapped down there along with the tugboat in the collapsed salt mines somewhere.
Yeah, I guess they're just wedged in there, huh?
Yep. So the fact that that Lake Peigneur sucked the Gulf of Mexico into the lake, the fact that the salt mines collapsed, Lake Peigneur was completely changed by this. Here's the actual fact of the podcast. Not one person lost their life or was seriously injured.
Yeah, that's
the
pretty
50
remarkable.
Miners made it out. The guys from the tugboat, from the oil drill rig, everybody made it out. Nobody was on Jefferson Island that got sucked into the whirlpool. Not one person died from this most colossal disaster, which is astounding. But the lake itself was changed too. It went from being a freshwater lake to a saltwater lake, and one that was, a handful of feet deep to about 200 feet deep now.
Yeah, it was initially like really, really deep, but that eventually spread out, and I guess they settled on 200 feet as a good new depth.
Right.
They had to pay out, Texaco, of course, had to pay out, many millions of dollars to the salt mine company and other various companies that were around there that got destroyed. All these houses, of course, the lake really, really grew, not only in depth but in size.
Right.
So today it's, basically sort of like a brackish saline lake. Mm-hmm. You can see like closer to the shoreline, like chimneys of houses that still pop above the surface.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really an amazing story.
And all of this happened because the Texaco engineer mistook one kind of map coordinates for another and miscalculated where the salt mine was when they were drilling.
I'm surprised to hear that an oil company was responsible for an ecological disaster.
Right. Nice one, Chuck. Well, that's the short stuff. Hat tip to our pals Alan Bellows at Damn Interesting and our friend Ken Jennings for writing some good articles on this stuff. And I guess that's it. So short stuff, away!
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.